Look, I'd now like to move on to introducing our presenter for today, Dr. Mingming Chen. Dr. Mingming Chen is a senior lecturer in digital marketing at the School of Marketing at Curtin University. And this webinar is actually part of a series of offerings in conjunction with Curtin University as part of a collaboration agreement that Food Industry Innovation has with Curtin University. Dr. Chen is an award-winning researcher and educator with an international reputation in digital economy and tourism. He also consults to a number of organisations providing industry advice and training on digital platforms and young consumers. A regular video conference keynote speaker, presenting at various forums on e-commerce and social media marketing. Dr. Chen, I'd like to hand over to you now, and I hope everyone enjoys the presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kim. Thanks for the introductions. So I'm now going to share my slides. Yeah. So hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the webinar today. It's great to see that we have almost reached our full capacity, and it's great to see so many of you are really interested in e-commerce. So I would like to first thank you, the Department of the Primary Industries and Regional Development, for organizing this webinar. It's also great to see so many of you interested in it. So for today's webinar, so there are a few things we're going to cover. First, we're going to talk about the landscape of e-commerce in Australia. And then we're going to talk about the impacts of the COVID-19 on e-commerce and how consumer behavior have changed, particularly for food and beverage industries. And then we will go through the e-commerce ecosystems. We're going to talk about how to set up your e-commerce store and which is the right platform you're going to choose, your return policies, and your logistics. And then we're going to talk about the strategies and the key things to consider. So once you have the your e-commerce store running up, so how can you drive traffic? How can you make sure people actually purchase on your e-commerce store? And then we're going to talk about the cases and the best practices that we can learn from. So the first thing I always ask people is that, so what's your understanding of e-commerce? Now, many of you already know the terms, like, the big brand, like Amazon's and eBay's. So basically, e-commerce is referred to the buying and the selling of goods and services over the internet. Well, do not just think that it's only Amazon and eBay's. So any businesses can open their e-commerce store. So any businesses, if you decide to go online, you have the choice to do so without going on Amazon or eBay. So let's first look at the landscape of e-commerce in Australia. Now, even though you can see from the picture here that online goods spend is only account for 10% of the total retail spend in Australia, but it's actually a big number. It have 27.5 billion spent in 2018 on goods spent online. And the good thing to know is that we have actually more than 73% of Australian households shopping online in 2018. So the numbers is also growing as well. And if you look at the figure here, you can see that we see a growth of Coles, Woolworths, and of course, but definitely if you look at online in general, we have really 23% growth year by year. And if we're looking at the products that are really popular selling online, you can see that, variety stores have the largest shares. And also we have health and beauties and fashions, and particularly health and beauties has a 29.4% year-on-year growth, which was 9% above the national average growth. So the national average growth is around like 20%. So, but if you're looking at the right, you can see specialty food and records. They only have small numbers, but also the increase. So from what we see here is that we actually see, an increased numbers of businesses actually online. but also we have seen the popularities of different products for e-commerce. So if we look at more specifically, we're looking at the food and beverages. So we can actually see there's a growth of fresh produce as well, like have 15% growth in e-commerce. So we can see that there is really great values for having business online, and even for food and beverages. And if we were looking at where those people who shopped, and of course, you know that for the major city of Australia, Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney, they also have year-on-year growth of 20%. But we also see a strong growth as well in the inner regional Australias, so which is not really far away from the major cities. And also we see a growth of inter-regional Australia as well. So looking in terms of the states, so you can see that all the states enjoy really good year-on-year growth in terms of online businesses. But unfortunately, for West Australia, we are a bit behind. So we only have 6.6 growth, which is below the national average year-of-year growth. And another thing I want to highlight is also that when we talk about e-commerce, you'll be interested in knowing that what time people actually do their shopping. So it's in early morning or in the middle night. So you can see here in terms of the shopping behaviors. So most of the people do the shopping in the middle evening from 7 to 10 p.m. and also afternoon. So by understanding when consumers are doing their shoppings online, so it will help you to consider what time you're going to do your promotion, what time you're going to do your marketing. And also, if in terms of the devices people use when they do online shopping, you can see that mobile devices has really enjoyed rapid growth. It have a 28.8 growth, year-on-year growth. Even though it's still 26.4% of overall, but it's really enjoy a rapid growth. And we have laptop and desktop. Well, they still occupy a large share, but they are not increasing, they're actually dropping. So if you look at desktop, it's actually have negative 11% negative growth year on year. So these are really some basic informations about the current e-commerce landscapes in Australia. So there's a few more things I want to mention is that what we found from research is that if you do online business, so direct marketing tricks sales, and the consumers are really want a quick speed. So when they investigating, or they do shopping on your online store, they want a speed, and also they want a seamless customer experience. They want a quick, and also, as I said before, the shopping late in the day. So as you can see that there's rapid growth year on year for e-commerce in Australia. There's a strong demand for it. And so why food and beverage businesses should go online? Now, if we were looking at the figure globally, we can see in the next 5 years, there will be a stable 21% growth in food and beverage sales. And also 36% of all sales in specialty food and beverage happen online. And also one quick thing is e-commerce can really scale up your food and beverage businesses, new market with new customers. Now, we all understand now that it's important to have e-commerce, and it's important to have a business online. But why so many food and beverage businesses are hesitant? Why they do not want to go online? Well, there's two major issues here. Now, the challenge for food and beverage businesses. Now, the first one is a challenge from order freshness. is the quality and the freshness of the orders. Now, as you can see a picture from here, you don't want your customers have your mandarins like that. So one thing always prevents food and beverage business is that how can I ensure that the product I provide are still fresh? Now, particularly for fruit and veggies. And the second thing is the challenge from logistics. And we say, oh, it's really complex. How can I make sure that I deliver my products in the next 2 days? Because if we can't deliver that in the next 2 days, and the freshness of my fruit will be gone, and a consumer may not like it. And also you consider how much money you're going to spend on the logistics. Or one thing is that, so you will say, well, it may cost us too much just simply, to make sure that the fruit or veggies are fresh. So these are two major challenges that are concerning food and beverage businesses. And they were thinking, how are we going to deal with the two issues? Now, in today's webinars, when we discuss the strategies, we will talk about a few tips that can help you with these two challenges that food and beverage businesses are facing. Also now, I want also to highlight a few points about how food and beverage selling online can be different from general e-commerce. Now, when you're selling clothes, when you're selling something that is not perishable, you may not worry about the freshness that much. But for food and beverage, you need to consider the nature of your product, either perishable or not. And also you need to consider the logistics, particularly for deliveries, and how we're going to deliver on time or with a short time frame. And also, one really important thing to consider is that what's your return policy? Now, what if consumers are not happy about my products and they want to return? And what should I do with it? And because if they return your fruit or veggies, probably you will not be able to use it anyway. And this is really something you need to consider, particularly for return policies. So these are some information specific to food and beverage industries. Of course, a lot of you are aware of the fact that now we are experiencing COVID-19, and I want to also highlight just a few points that how it actually impacts the consumer behavior and how it impacts the current landscape of e-commerce. Now, of course, many of you know that because of travel restrictions, as well as people, the worries over the transmission of COVID-19, there's a large decrease in brick and mortar foot traffics. So the sales in the physical stores are dropping significantly. Now e-commerce is become a really preferred channels, and the major firms to already have taken shares during this crisis. Now there's I think 2 months ago, there's a global surveys consumers what's their intention of using online stores. So the response saying that nearly half of the global consumers say that they will not actually return to the shops, the physical shop for some time or long time after lockdowns. So we can see that it's really opportunities for e-commerce. But the other report from Blue Call is that for now we have seen a really large numbers of first-time purchase. So we have seen a lot of people who, there's a lot of people who actually haven't done online shopping before, but now because of the travel restrictions, they start using online e-commerce. They start using commerce. And also, as I mentioned before, mobile service take on great importance. So the implication is that once you have online store, how you can make sure that it's mobile friendly as well. And then we have also come up with new ways of marketing, to marketing people, to marketing products on e-commerce stores. Now, traditionally, you have pictures of your videos, but now a lot of people in the food and beverage sectors, and they do live streaming. They just do live streaming of what happens in the farm, and show that to the potential consumers on their e-commerce website. Now you can see the picture, right? Probably some of you read the news article before, and this particular farmer made him really popular on the video sharing app TikTok. So this is some people are doing. So this is a cherry farm. So what the owners are doing is that they do live streamings at each stage of the cherry. So they will show people how they plan, how they grow the cherries, and how they pick the cherries, and then finally how they package it. So this is a new marketing techniques that demonstrate a new techniques that online stores need to take that into consideration as well. So, but there are also another few things that we need to take into consideration in regards to the COVID-19 impacts. In the last few weeks, probably many of you, if you have done shopping, you experienced some delivery problems. Let's now have e-commerce delivery and supply chain concerns. Now, if you have purchased something on Amazon or eBay, and they're actually posting some e-commerce orders. So if your products are regarded as non-essentials, and they will delay the shipping, the order distribution of your product. And this is an issue regarding the infrastructures and regarding delivery and logistics, which I said before is very important for food and beverage industries. And the third one is that we see a lot of time, like first time purchases from people who haven't used e-commerce before. And now it's also time for you to think, who are the new customers that are on the side your previous majority demographics. So if you previous demographic groups are fall into particular categories, but now it's time for you to think, well, how can I acquire new customers? So there's so many people now online, and so many first-time purchases. And also the last thing is the impacts on search marketing. Now, because of COVID-19, people have to stay at home, and we now have a lot of at-home audience. So what those people do at home? Now, probably you can think of yourself, what do you do at home during this lockdown? And we can see really a lot of search traffics, and how we're going to capture those at-home audience at this stage. So here are some impacts of how COVID-19's impact on e-commerce. So it's really for us, like food and beverage businesses, to think, well, how can Anne acquire new customers, and how I can take advantage of the shopping online opportunities. Now, everyone knows that, well, we can make a profit, if we have online stores. But you say, oh, really? Can we make a profit or not? Well, here are the 5 steps that if you are thinking of have online stores, and because these 5 steps will help you to have a blueprint of what you should do if you want to have a really successful online stores. And we have seen many online stores are really successful, but some are not, because they probably have not done well in some of the steps, and that's why they have not performed well. So these 5 are the really key 5 steps that need to be taken into consideration. Now, the first one, of course, is to decide what you want to sell and your target audience. You probably ask me, oh, I know this, because for every single businesses, we want to decide what you want to sell and your target audience. But e-commerce can be quite different in many ways. Now, because e-commerce, you're not limited by the geographic locations. So you can reach people anywhere in Australia. And also, it can help you increase your brand awareness. But the thing is, what you sell can impact the packaging of your products, it can impact the delivery of your products and your logistics and your payment options. And also, if you don't know what's your target audience, you cannot do target marketing. Now, one thing which we're going to talk about today is about search marketing. So many of you know about Google Ads, and also many of you know about Facebook marketing as well. So if you know the people who are more likely to buy your products, and then you do the right target marketings, and you will have more effective results. And because of the social media platforms, it will enable you to do so, plus the search engine. So it's very important for you to understand what you want to sell and your target audience. And the second one is to build your online store in the right e-commerce platform. So we're going to talk about a few options, and you need to decide which one you want to choose. And also you need to consider how data can be integrated with your domain and businesses. Now, after you're setting up your e-commerce stores and it's ready to go, then you need to consider your logistic plan. So you need to consider, are you going to work with Australia Post, or you want to deliver by yourself? Then you need to think of your logistic plan. And also you need to have the right payment gateways. How am I going to get my money, how people can pay for it. And once you get all the things ready, and next challenge, as I said earlier, is how to drive your traffic. Now you have a beautiful online store and everything's really good, but no one come to your store, no one make any purchase. And then you need to think through, how can I drive traffic? How can I make sure people know that there is an online store for people to purchase honey? So what do you think of different marketing strategies? And the last one you need to consider, the fifth step, is to track your store key performance indicators. Now, we're not only interested how many people actually visited your online store, but we are more interested in how many people make that purchase. And also we want to know where people stop on your website. Is it because your payment's not that effective? So by understanding your online store's key performance indicators, you know which areas you can improve to increase your sales and your profits. So now, what do we do that we were going to all the steps in details? So as I said before, to decide what you want to sell and your target audience. Now, have a think about your current target audience. Are you selling the products to the people who have visited your store before and who want to purchase online? Or are you looking at the people who just around your farm or around the shops, only the people who in Perth City? Or those people have already visited your website? And do you know who they are? Do you know their behaviors? Do you know they have Facebook account? So you really understand what's your target audience. So who you would want to reach. Now this, as I said before, this may sound old, but if you can have a good understanding of your target audience, and then you can do a target marketing. And the second thing is about what products you would like to sell. Is this one perishable? That's to say, well, whether you will be, if the products are perishable, would you be able to deliver that within 3 days, or deliver in the same day or the next day? Would you be able to do so? And if they're perishable, how should I package it? So your target audience and what a product you like to sell will have a direct impact on your logistics, your platform, your e-commerce store design, and your marketing strategies. So of course, we have some of the analytics software or tools. Like for example, we have Google Analytics, which you can help you to attract those people who visited your website and how far they go into your website. So this one is the first step. So before you start thinking to build your online stores, thinking of what demographics, what are your target audience for your online stores, and what are products you would like to sell. Now, I'm not going to talk about Amazon for the platforms because today we are focused more on how you set up your own e-commerce stores. And also regarding Amazon and eBay's, a lot of times you will not be able to sell fresh produce like veggies and fruit. So we're not going to cover today. But what we focus is on the major e-commerce platforms that you can utilize to build your e-commerce store. Now, here are the 4 most popular ones about e-commerce platforms that you can choose. So the first one is Shopify. So this one is the most popular ones. And then we have Ecommerce, have Magento e-commerce, and PrestaShops. So all of these share really similar functions in many ways, but they can be different in terms of the integrations with other systems. For example, with the shipping systems or your logistic systems from Australia Post or from DHLs. And you will see whether they have the integrations of that. So one example I want to show you later on is that if you go to this e-commerce platforms, and one thing you want to look at is that what are the existing businesses for food and beverage who have utilized these platforms. So have a quick look and to see how they operate. So for example, Shopify has a dedicated sections. So the successful stories and of food and beverage businesses. So I would suggest you have a look and see how it was designed, and also to see whether this platform was the right platform for you. So here are the this here is just one example we have is that it's about honey business. You can see that once you choose the platforms, then you have the options to choose your design. And this one looks a bit cute. They do cost ceilings to recommend related products. So they do not show you the shopping list or the list of products on their homepage when you reach the online store. So, but what they do is that they give you a quick look of what it looks like, and then they take you to their products. But for this one, it's pretty interesting. This is the one selling fruit and veggies. This is a bit veggie as well. This is a lazy fruit. This is really it's a local one in Singapore using Shopify. So what happened on this page? So once you read the online stores, it will not tell you, the information about the products in details. What they do, they take you directly to their product list, and you can make the purchase. So as you can see here, it really depends on what kind of products you're selling, whether you want how you want to design your e-commerce stores. Like I said, like one example here is about the selling cookies. So for this one, they provide really detailed informations. And then this one is the one using Shopify in Tasmania, selling salmons. So the information provided is straightforward and simple as well. So if we go back to the examples we went through, it really depends on what products you are considering and what you are selling. What are you selling? So then you can choose the right template to design your store. There's one example here. It's not related to food and beverage. And have a look. What do you think of these particular examples? Now you think, wow, that's a bit overwhelming. So you're probably thinking that, well, we have templates, but you really need to spend some effort into what you want, what you would like your e-commerce store looks like. And as I said before, it really depends on what product you're selling. For example, if you're selling food, like apples, you probably don't want to introduce that too much information. But if you're selling honey, probably you need. So these are related to the designs of your e-commerce page. And the one thing also I think I probably haven't covered earlier is that when I talk about those 4 different popular e-commerce platforms, is that how you make that choice. Now, there's 4 considerations that you need to consider. The first one is the locations. So are they based in Australia or elsewhere? So this will impact where your website will be hosted and how you get the support. Now, if you, for example, your platform is based in US, and then you may not be able to get the support when you need. So really you need to take that into consideration. And also the extra fees and charge. So some providers will charge you extra for add-on, support, or even charge a percentage of your revenues. So make sure that you're aware how much they're going to charge you, not only to have have an online store, but also the add-on service. And also you need to think through how would you be billed. If you are dealing with a service provider in the US, then your billing will be in US dollar, and so your monthly costs will vary due to exchange rate and additional foreign exchange fees. So this is something you need to consider, and also system integrations and efficiencies. So one of the things about e-commerce platform is that once you design it, you want to make sure it integrated with other existing systems that you have been using. So you want to see whether this e-commerce platform will be able to do so. Also, would they have integrations with, for example, the delivery companies like Australia Post? So these are some of the considerations that you need to take. Okay, so if we move on here, so this one is also we go back to the design of your product page. Now, when you have your product page, it's probably the page that consumers spend quite a bit of time on it. And when you have a product page, make sure you be very specific in product name. Then consumers know exactly what they're looking for. So if you use generic names, it will be hard for a consumer to pick up the right one. And if a consumer spend too much time looking for the specific product on your website and they cannot find it, the chance is that they're going to leave your store very quickly. So make sure you will be very specific in your product name and focus on your product description on the consumers. Now for Now, when we look at the Lazy Fruit e-commerce stores, it did not provide any. It does not provide any descriptions of their fruit except where they're from. So, because for them, for that particularly e-commerce stores selling fruit, they think consumers just want a quick purchase, and then probably don't want to write too much information about it. But for other products, for example, like cookies or honey, then you may consider, well, what descriptions you want to put in. And then remember, consumers do not want to spend too much time on your page, and they want to find the right information. So the key issue is that only focus your products on the consumer description on the consumer. That to say, only provide the information that consumers think consumer need to make that decision. And you need to, for example, if they're going to purchase honey, what are the key considerations for them to choose a honey product? And only provide the descriptions that you think will be appealing and satisfy the need of your consumers. And then be clear and concise on the price. They'll tell me how much it will cost consumers. And you don't want there's any extra cost on consumers when they reach the end. Of course, they understand there was cost for delivery, but you don't want to surprise consumers at the end. So be clear and concise on the price, and provide a clear call to actions. Now, if you look at the right, you can see here, add to cart. So make sure, so this one that is highlighted in red, so it's hard for people to miss. So if you have really some info, so if you have some information you want people not to miss, and make sure you highlight, but also you really highlight those areas. There's a clear call to action. People know what to do next. And use multiple high resolutions image and videos. Now, I realize that sometimes for a lot of e-commerce stores, they only provide one pictures of the products. I usually not suggest, because if one pictures usually will not be enough. Now, think of this, for first time purchase, a lot of people do not feel the quality of your product, they don't know much about it. And if you only provide one pictures, you may not be able to provide enough information for that. And also pictures and videos are more appealing for consumers. And you also may consider putting up a video as well to show your products. And number 6 is that to improve social proof. Now, social proof is that you want to put information what other people think of your products, who have purchased your product before, because that's a really important message you want to send to people, is that you spend a lot of time to say how good your product is, but the truth is people do not feel it, particularly for first time purchase. And then you need to have a customer review. You say, well, this is what people talks about it, and people like it, and then this will help to build a social proof and create trust. Now, the 7th is also inspire trust. When I say inspire trust, definitely you provide customer reviews of your products, can inspire trust, but also more than that. Now, when we talk about trust in the e-commerce stores, it's also about how consumers feel about you as a seller. Now, for building trust, you may consider your return policy. Now, for a lot of first-time purchase, and they may thinking, look, I don't know about the honey, the honey business, It's my first time on the website. What if, what if the products are not good? What if the honey products or the wines are not good? And if you have really clear, friendly written policies, they can actually build trust as well, which we're going to talk about more in details about your written policies. And okay, so here are the e-commerce product, the page. And so now you understand your target audience, and also now you understand your target audience, and also understand. Sorry, it doesn't pick the keywords. Your target audience and what you want to sell, and also you know which platform you're going to choose. You know how to design your product page. And the next question is how you're going to deliver it. Now, this is a challenge that I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the webinars. And how can you have a good logistic plan? How you can make sure your product will be delivered to your customer safe, efficient, and at the right time. And then also you need to think through, what about the payment? So how you're going to receive the money, and how consumers can make the purchase. Now, in terms of logistics, particularly for deliveries, now, please do not only think that think you can only deliver to their homes. There are also other choices that you can use. Now, the first one, home delivery. Now, for home deliveries, there's many options for home deliveries. You can use existing delivery companies. You can use Australia Post, DHLs, but also you can think of whether you want to deliver by yourself. Now, which I will talk about that later on as well. Is that, for example, if you are a farm just located not far away from Perth, and you see people have make a purchase on your online stores, and you will say, well, because it's a fruit and veggies, I want to deliver by myself. And then you can say, well, if you make a purchase, we don't deliver that every day, but we will do safe deliveries only on the weekend on Saturdays. That's what we're going to deliver. Well, that's an option you can choose. But we will talk more in details. And the second option you're going to have, if you have a physical store or physical place, you can ask people saying, look, you can purchase online and then you can pick it up in our store. Now, we'll not charge you or anything. So these are the options. So if you have your stores in Perth or in other areas that can get close to your customers, you can have the options of the in-store pickup. But also you can deliver to a local site. So what you can do is that you can deliver to a particular place and the customers can get access to that. So when you're thinking of deliveries, do not be thinking you have to rely on Australia Post or safe delivery to homes, but you also have other options as well. Now, one thing for food and beverage, as I mentioned earlier, because for many of them, it's perishable natures. And then if you want to deliver them fresh, and then you will think about the packagings. So when you're doing deliveries, so are you going to consider paper packaging, plastic packaging, glass packaging, aluminum packaging? So which one you are considering? Because this is going to affect the quality of the products, and also there's many issues can happen during deliveries, and how you can make sure that the product you delivers are safe. Now, of course, as I said before, you can of course have the shipping options. You can have a partnership with Australia Post, Australia e-parcels, which you need to have more than, especially for those who have more than 1,000 parcels annually. You have FedEx Express, DHL's, Star Trek. Now, the good things about those platforms I recommended earlier is that they have existing extensions or add-ons with those shipping options. So they are integrated in those platforms. So once you have decided to choose Australia Post, they actually can have the information on your website as well, and it is easy integration. So that's the shipping options, and also one thing we look at is here that when you know the demand for people's or the packaging can be different, particularly in terms of the packaging. So some of them you already packaged. For example, it's only for 2 kilos for your fruit, and also you package with 500 grams. And then someone asking, oh, I want 1 kilos, and you don't have that package already in place, and then you put a replacement policy when on your e-commerce store, particularly before the checkout, you're saying, well, if your item, your orders is out of stock, and when your order is packaged, and we will try to replace it with the similar items and show that replacement on your final invoice. So it's a good thing that you ask whether consumers are happy if you do replacement. And also that for food and beverages, and it's always good things to provide whether people have special dietary requirement and allergies. For example, if you have cookies, sell you cookies, then you need to provide the information. Now, here is a real examples of deliveries. So this is a vegetable and fruit store. So in Sydney, called Harris Farm. So Harris Farm has different options for deliveries. As you can see from here, so it will say, well, because we have store in the cities, we can deliver to you in the same days, and you have different hours, we'll be able to deliver that to you, but you will need to pay for a different price. So if you want to deliver at 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. between that time, you need to pay $12. And it gives people options to choose. And also a lot of time for online stores, if you have free delivery is a good thing, not only for promotions, but also encourage people to spend more. Now, in the case here, it says that if you spend 100 or more, and you will get a free deliveries. So the thing is that a lot of people, for example, you see if a lot of people in your online stores, they only purchase around $80 or $90, you will say, oh, what if I increase that? If I can help let them to purchase more, and then say if they're more than 100, they will have free deliveries. So you can actually encourage them to purchase more. And also on this slide, on the right, you can see that it depends how much they purchase, and also what kind of delivery they want, and you can charge them differently. And also, one good thing they're doing is that they do free delivery on the first 3 orders. Now, for online businesses, one of the challenges I mentioned earlier is that consumer cannot feel your products. They cannot really see it. So if you have a free delivery for the first delivery, and it may encourage people to try it. So if people have tried it and they feel about it, the chances that if they're satisfied, they're more likely to purchase again in your online store. So these are so in terms of delivery, it's also a promotion technique as well. And not only encourage people to go with your online store, but also it's a good way to help people to increase their spending on your store as well. Now, as I also I mentioned before, like for deliver options, you can, for example, the last one here is we call a free stand economical delivery every Wednesday and Saturdays. So if you're thinking you will be able to deliver by yourself to their home, and you can make it that saying, well, we deliver to per cities, every Saturdays, and please place your orders and we will deliver on Saturdays. And if people understand that, it will be okay, and also it will save your costs for delivery as well. So you can choose a particular time, a particular day that you want to deliver by yourself. So these are a few techniques in terms of delivery, and also things for you to consider. And here also some of the payment options. So when you pick up your e-commerce platforms to set up your e-commerce store, you need to thinking whether they accept payment in Australia. Now, because as I said before, if they don't accept the payment in Australia, you probably need to pay extra for the foreign exchange fee. So this is something you need to consider. So regarding payment, for all the e-commerce platforms, I recommend they provide a lot of choices, but also you want to double check whether they accept the payment in Australia, and also what are options they can provide. They can say they can provide credit cards, Visa, Master, and American Express, Apple Pay, Google Pay, or whether they can provide a PayPal. So see what are the options they can provide, because a lot of consumers from our research show that they stop purchase once they realize that it's a no option for them to use their credit card. So as you can see here, so in terms of the online payment, the most popular one in Australia is a PayPal, and then credit card, and then debit cards. So just making sure that you have the most widely used payment options on your e-commerce website. And of course, there's a question I usually get from a lot of people, is that, so, well, yeah, I know and understand the importance. I know, well, I got information how to set up a store. How much is it going to cost me? Now, in terms of the platform itself, now it have a monthly price. So in this case, I give Shopify. So it have a monthly price for $29 to $299. So it really depends on what kind of features you need and what kind of support they provide. For example, in the Shopify shipping, whether you have the options to print your shipping labels from your store. So it really depends on what service you want. But also one thing you need to remember is the payment, how much they're going to charge you. Now, for example, if you look at here, in the case of Shopify, is that if you have online credit card rate, it takes actually 2.9% and plus 30 cents for that payment. And then you will think, wow, that's how much it's going to take away from you. So you want to consider how much they're going to charge you, because this is going to affect how much you're going to charge your customer as well. Now here is some basic information regarding the payment. So the next things, the next slide. Sorry. So the next slide, I want to focus a bit more times on the return policy, because I think it's an important part. Is that, the top of barriers for a lot of online shopping is that people cannot have access to the feed, feel, and the quality of the products. And then you will consider how you can have a user-friendly return policy, but you feel the consumers like it, but also protect your own interests well. So one thing I want to highlight that in Australia, so all sales, including online sales, fall under the Trade Practice Act. It's something that you may want to have a look. So regarding return policies, and make sure it's easy to find and understand. As I said earlier, it's about how you're going to build a trust. A return policy is one part that you will be able to build a trust. So you want to make sure that your return policy is easy to find and understand. You want people know, saying, oh, if I have an issue with that purchase, what should I do? And one thing a lot of time is that people make a purchase and people then say, I want a refund. And one thing you really need to consider is that whether you want a refund to the credit cards. But if a customer has bought your product through a credit card, you can definitely process the refund to that card, but this is likely to result in a fee that you and the merchant will pay, and it may be $25 to $40. So, but this fee will vary by providers and card types. So you may consider whether you will directly refund to the credit card. So I always suggest that you either send them a check or direct deposit to the consumer's bank account. But that will not always be the best way. The best way you do, if the consumer is happy, you give them a credit certificate. So they can use a later date for their make purchase. Because once you give them a credit certificate, it's likely that one will motivate them to purchase again. And also you can provide the option saying, well, look, this something happened and we can do replacement with alternative products. So here are some a few tips that you want to consider for your return policy. Now you want to have you want to have a clear and upfront return policy with a reasonable return time frames. Now, for food and beverage, if your products are perishable, and then it may not really work out for return policy, and then you need to clear state how you're going to deal with it if a customer want to return. And really you need to be clear up front. As I also said, provide a store credit instead of a refund or replacement. As I said before, if you're using credit card and then you credit into that credit card, it may have extra charge for you. So it's good to have a credit instead of a refund or replacement. And also, if you decide, you can provide a return label or access to labels, if they want returns and how they will do it. And also you can also think of utilizing packaging that can be repurposed for returns. And also some of the customers, they're saying, well, it's too troublesome for them to return. Then you can say, well, you can provide them with a convenient drop-off location for return. And also you might consider providing discounting or free postage for return. But all of these are some tips, but one clear message is that you have to be upfront. If you selling perishable items, that you will not be able to accept any returns, and they upfront and tell what you will do if people are not happy with your products. And you are saying, in this case, we can provide a replacement. So be clear upfront. This will not only help yourself, but also not only help with sales, but also help build a trust for the consumers. And I will stop this in the next three slides, and then I'll like Kim to pop in. So the next one is build a consumer trust. In that, make sure you have physical address and contact details. If anything happens, the consumer can reach you. Clear written policies, privacy policies, the data will not be shared by you, and a clear term policies. And also make sure you set it secure and safe. And you will see the example here. It will tell you whether your connection is safe, is secure or not. Basically, because when people make a purchase using credit cards, I'm going to stop here for Kim to pop in, and then we're going to cover the next two steps later session. Yeah, Kim.
Thank you, Mingming. Quite a lot of information to absorb there. So we'll go straight to some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Mingming, if you just want to click on the cross, because your screen share has got a funny picture on it at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Let me stop. Let me stop sharing. Yeah.
Okay, so our first question is from Hamun Arya. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. What is your opinion on basing the e-commerce on application via domain homepage? Would you recommend startup to create an application for this purpose in beginning of the journey?
Kim, do you want to repeat that questions?
Yep. What is your opinion on basing the e-commerce on application via domain and then in brackets homepage? And then the second part of the question, would you recommend startup to create an application for this purpose in the beginning of the journey?
Now, so it's always good to have just to be frank, it's always good to have an e-commerce store, whether you really want to sell products or not. Now, the reason is that because it helps with your brand awareness, because your search engines will automatically index it, and if people search on Google, it will rank higher. And also, I would say to rely on those existing. Just have the existing e-commerce platform first. So, and you utilize the basic functions to have a go first. And I would say it's always good to start with that, because one particular important thing that you will get from those online store is about you understand the traffic, who actually visit your store, who are interested in your store. This will be helpful. So for startup, I would always suggest you have one. Because then you can know the demographic information of the people who visit your store, and then you know what you can do with your marketing strategies.
Thank you. Our next one is a statement more than a question from Elizabeth Jackson of Curtin University. And this is regarding social proof. Encourage enthusiastic customers to share their positive views online.
Yeah. So as I said before, for e-commerce, one tricky thing is that consumers cannot touch it, right? If you have a social proof, it's basically add additional, add a trust. So how can you encourage it? So a lot of time you can do is that once people purchase something on you, and you can just go and send an email to ask them to provide a review. Or if you realize that some people, enthusiastic reviewers, they always left a review on your Facebook page or on Google review. And if it's a good review, you can simply copy and paste and put it on, or integrate them into your e-commerce system.
Layla asks, what is your view and suggestions for the Facebook shop?
Okay, I think a Facebook shop is definitely good to have as well. But also, I do also encourage to have the separate e-commerce store as well. So, and also because there's also different functionalities regarding both, but definitely I think it's also an option for you to consider as well.
Okay, and we just got some clarification around the second part of the previous question. Would you recommend the social media e-commerce options for a startup?
Oh yes, yes, yes. We were going into details in the rest of the sessions. We'll talk about how you're going to drive traffic to e-commerce store and how I think it's definitely we will talk about that one just in the rest of the webinar.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to.
Thank you. That's all the questions we currently have open. I was just going to ask one myself in terms of our actual logistics capacity here in Australia, and you did state earlier that people may have noticed some delays in delivery during the start of the COVID pandemic and the shutdown. How are we placed in terms of our e-commerce logistics capabilities here in Australia? It appeared to me that when there was a spike in online purchasing, the ability to respond here in Australia was quite constrained.
Yeah. That's more about what we call infrastructure questions. So particularly in Western Australia, and one thing you need to consider is to deliver to other part of the states, and you may, especially for food and beverage, and you need to really consider careful how long you will be able to deliver. And what I would suggest you do is always to get an estimate from you shipping delivery companies, giving an estimate how long you will be able to deliver to them. Because that's that's expectation that consumers want. But if you deliver too late, they will be really upset, especially with the freshness of your fruits or veggies. Generally speaking, if you deliver in the major city areas or the intercity areas, it can be relatively stable in many ways. But if it is spike, it will be an issue as well. What I would suggest usually when you start for e-commerce, start from use surrounding areas in the States first, and to see how you can handle the logistics first before you want to open to everywhere in Australia.
Just one more question, if I may. You talked about some of the platforms earlier. Talking to some food producers who are linked to platforms, and also some people in a different space, in the cosmetic space. There are some quite strong limitations in the amount of customer information you can get back from some of those platforms. So Amazon, for example, speaking to some people who've interacted with them, the amount of information they can glean about the customer is quite limited compared to what you may have with a more direct channel. Are there strategies for addressing that in terms of how you're able to maximise customer?
So if you have, for example, if you have your own e-commerce stores, you will get more information from the customers. So one thing we talk about is Google Analytics. You can actually see how many people visit your stores and how long stay at your page and when they stopped. So it really provide more information. And also there was some other tools that we will talk about today that to see how your website, how your store, e-commerce store is indexed in Google, how you can make rank higher. So there's definitely techniques to help you. It have more, also can provide more data, consumer data. And we'll talk about in the rest of this webinar.
Okay, and we have one more question that's come in prior to going back to the presentation. Do you think the trend of online shopping after COVID will be something that's come to stay or will fade in upcoming months?
From the research, what we found that is going to remain and are going to have strong growth. So the reason behind that, we have seen a lot of people who don't really do online shopping, they have started doing online shopping. Because the COVID-19, with the travel restrictions, a lot of people, we have seen a lot of first-time purchase. People who have done that before, they start saying, oh, actually, we can do it. So we're seeing we're going to increase.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions we have for now.
Okay, cool, thank you. So we'll go back to my slides. Yeah, can one see it? Okay. Yeah, we had talked about this before, and thank you, thank you very much, everyone. So the next things we want to talk about is really some of the questions you have asked: how to drive traffic. Now, when we want to drive traffic to your online stores, it's a bit tricky, but it's manageable. And if you do that well, and your sale will go up really, really quickly. Now, let me give an example. First, I give an example here before I go into details. The first one is about search engine marketing. Now, if you go to Google, you say buy honeys, you can see some of the products will automatically appear. That is what we call a sponsor ad. That's a Google ad. So you pay to place on top of the screens by buying keywords. So if people search something and your product will come up, that's something you need to pay because you buy the keywords from search from Google. But the second part is we call it search engine optimization. That's to say that you don't pay Google anything, but how the way you design your online store, what information you put in, what kind of link you put in, what kind of picture you put in, can make you rank differently. That's what we call organic search. Now, if you look at the one on the left, it's Google organic search. So I search University of Perth, and then Curtin University or Western Australia, which one will pop up? So it really depends, as I said before, how you design your website, and also what information you want to appear. They can see the rating, this information appears. So what we talk about is how you can optimize your search engine. Optimize your online store so Google can rank you highest, and you don't need to pay for it. And then also we will talk about social media marketing and how you can have social media marketing to help you drive traffic, and then talk about email marketing. But email marketing is more towards those people who have already signed up or who have interactions with you e-commerce store. Okay, so this is a website. This is free, by the way. So I want everyone to have a go. If you have your own website or if you have your online store, have a go. This is called this is a search engine. Sorry, I forgot the name is SEO Quokka. So it's a free, so everyone can use it. So basically, it will go through your online store and basically tells you, how your e-commerce store is indexed in Google's. It will tell you whether your URL is okay, whether your title is okay, whether your meta description, your meta keywords are okay, and then it will tell you tips. And then it will give you whether you pass that or you have arrows, you have warnings, and what you can do to better. So these are free tools. This is Google Chrome extensions, is SE Quokka. So have a go with it, and you can just test your website, your e-commerce store, and see how you can do further to optimize your online store. Now, one thing we talk about is that for the social network, there's like for example, Facebook. Now, make sure when you have online stores, they are equipped with a link to your social network, like Twitter and YouTube. So the reason behind, there's two reasons behind. The first thing is that it can help you attract new customers, and then also improve your search engine ranking. That's social network. But the second one is the product review and ratings. As I said before, product reviews and ratings are great to help you get feedback from the customers. And you can have social proof and to build a trust. And also by displaying the product review, you can provide great information to visitors, and someone say, it's actually, this is really good honeys, and if you combine with this particular food. And last thing, that search engines will crawl, index, and rank information on product review and ratings. So product reviews will rank you higher. So let me just show you a few examples here. Now, this is a Harris Farm. So they have an online store. So what happened is that they're really updating the social media page with their blogs every few days. So to get it engaged, and they also have the landing page in their social media posts. People can directly go to that particular page for purchase. So when I talk about landing page, it's not the first page of your online store, but rather it's about particular products. People can click on that, you'll take it directly to that particular page, for example, to buy tomatoes. And one thing that I really, if you're thinking of your have an online store, that's something I really encourage you to do so, is to write blogs and be prepared to write blogs. The reason writing blog is not only about you provide a customer with good information, saying how to use, how to cook tomatoes, what the nutrition of tomatoes, but it's more about your search engine ranking. So if you constantly provide new content and update regularly, Google will rank you higher. So people will more likely to find you on Google search. Sorry. And the other thing we'll talk about is the reviews. You do not really need to say, I need to create a space for people to put a review in, but you can just integrate existing reviews from Google, from Facebook. See, this one is about Facebook. It's what people talk about the products on Facebook, and they integrate that on your e-commerce store. Now, the reason, probably some of you are aware of this, I mentioned before, you really need to have a target audience. Why? Because social medias will enable you to have the targeting options. Some of you probably have used that before, but some may not. But Facebook is a really good one for now. Because if you look at yourself, if you have Facebooks, how much information you have provided. Now, if you understand your target audience, you will say, I'll provide, for honeys. I know those are people who travel to Perth, who just traveled to Perth for several days, and those are females, and those are people from Singapore, from China, are more likely to purchase honeys. And those are people who are age 50 above are likely to purchase honey. So, and then you can tell Facebook, these are if some of the information that you got from your consumers can be found on Facebook, and you want to target those people. Now, the example here, if you see on your left side, you see everyone in the locations, people recently in this location, people traveling in these locations. So you can see what are people you want targeting. Are you targeting people, tourists? So what language you want to targeting? Now remember, some products are particularly popular for particular groups. So some of the products maybe not popular for locals, but maybe popular for tourists. Some products may just only popular, for example, for Chinese community or for Malaysian communities. Yeah, you can see that use the language, you can identify the background, and then you can also have the age, you can have men and women, and also you are interested whether the person is married or not. And then even you can see whether my products are more likely to be popular for moms. Then even for politics you can target. So basically, with the social media now we can have a targeted marketing, and we have a targeted marketing. It's very important for you to really have a target audience. And then exactly when you want to do those target marketing, what information you can provide to make your target marketing effective. Now, also remember, when you have online stores, there may be two streams of consumers. One is those first-time purchase, and the other one is those who have interaction with your website before or your store before. So if those people who have already visited your website, and really those people already showing an interest, and how can you get those people and make sure they purchase in the future? Now, I will tell a few techniques, but let me just we'll go through the first. So the first one is that newsletter to coupons. It say if people just onto your website and we recognize that the first time visitors, you will say, please sign up. If you sign up, you got free delivery for the first time. There will be a high chance people are going to sign up. And then you say abundant cart recoveries. Now you saw people have already registered on your e-commerce store, but whenever they reach the payment page, they stopped. And you will say, well, why that happened? And if you can, for example, a lot of people do, if they send an email to them just only 1 hour after they abandon their cart, and then a lot of them will be recovered. And then also you provide coupons and gift cards. So especially when you're doing online stores, when creating coupons, so make sure you have coupons with a fixed discount or percentage discount they can use at the end. So you encourage them for the next purchase. And set up a validity period, say only 7 days or 10 days. So set up validity of a number of codes. You can so there's a function I think with e-commerce website. You can generate the coupon manually or automatically. And as I said before, you can have product promotions on Facebooks. You can have the right target, and then also you can do cross-selling as well. So for the cross-selling, I think the functions people provide is that on your e-commerce page, is that if people purchase honeys, what other products will be likely to purchase? So that will be need to need to be displayed, because by displaying similar, I will not say similar products, but products that people more like to buy them together. So there's a high chance people are going to purchase that. Now this is honey business in the States. So if you're the first time, you pop on their page, so they will say love honey. So they offer you 10% discount for your first purchase. So as long as you sign up, you provide 10% purchase. So every single time, if you are the first, if they realize that you're the first purchase, this message will pop out. Okay. The last things we're going to talk about is the track your store key performance indicators. Now, there's a number of indicators that we want to look at today. Is that looking at shopping cart abandonment rate. Now, this is one, as I mentioned before. You see, let's say 100 people have already started their shoppings on my website, but only 10 people purchase at the end, and there's 90% of people abandon that. Then you may wonder why people do so, at what stage they abandon their shopping. Is it because at the early stage or because at the payment stage? And at this time, if they are at a later stage, as I said before, email recoveries may be really important. And then we also have conversion rate conversion rate talking about saying, well, you're saying, well, there are 100 people visiting my website, and how many people actually sign up? How many people actually make their purchase? And also you'll think about the cost of your customer acquisition. You say, well, look, I have used Google Ads, and how much I'm going to acquire that customer to make a purchase. Then this is mobile investment. And also remember customer lifetime values. Now, research shows that if you have 5% increase in customer retention, it can increase your company profit by 25 to 95%. That's why once those people have interaction with your website and they have signed up, make sure they come back. So research shows that if you're getting a new customer, it's anywhere 5 to 25 times more expensive than returning current ones. So repeating customers spend also more than new customers. And also the other key indicators you need to consider is the average order values. Is talking about saying, well, how much values I can gain is for for the average orders. But the last thing is that gross profit margin, how much money I actually make. Because when I talked about before, when you're doing online businesses, there's so many costs involved. You need to set up your e-commerce store. You need to have a design. If you don't have existing free templates, you need to have a design for your e-commerce store. This costs money. You have ads-on, it costs money. You have your maintenance. So it all costs you money. So then you need to at the end, you say how much profit I'm actually making from the online store. So what I will do now, I'll just share one company called Honey Smile, which I think is doing really well in terms of e-commerce. I want to share that with you. But before that, I think to be successful in e-commerce, you really have attractive, well-designed website. Now learn from others. Now I will provide you the links with other food and beverage businesses that have successful online store before. You can find a business that's similar to you, and you can have a close look at what they display, what the options are, and what the return policies, what the delivery, and then you can learn from it. And then you have reliable e-commerce assistance and a service and a friendly return policy. So logistic wise is you need to really consider carefully whether you want to deliver by yourself, or you want to deliver it by Australia Post, or you want people pick up in store. For a lot of perishable items, this is going to matter a lot. Now, if you deliver clothes, when they're late, the customer may still okay. But if you deliver your fresh products, customer may not be happy with it. So it's really important for you to consider that. And also, as I mentioned earlier, is that if you, for example, you are around a purse, you are saying, well, we can deliver on particular Saturday. And if you make orders, so this is an option that you can choose. And then also you have friendly return policies. When I talk about friendly policy, it's not saying you accommodate every single request, but also you need to be upfront about your policies. And then you need to have effective online shopping marketing tactics to drive web traffic to your site. Now, as I said before, you can use a Google ad, that's a paid search engine marketing, but also you can optimize your website so that Google can index you and rank you higher without paying them. And then you're going to have a social media marketing, and you're prepared to write blogs. You're prepared to have online reviews and social media page integrated with your website. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to sharing with you the Smile Honey, the companies. So I'm going to share with you, I'm going to take you through the e-commerce stores. and some of the good practices that I think is good for us to look at. So I'm now sharing that with you. Yep. So what you can see here, this is the online store of Smiley Honey. So you can see here at the home page. So you can see definitely beautiful pictures, but what they do is that they provide a variety of products. And you may think through how many products you want to provide. Now for this particular honey business, it not only provide honeys, it also provide other products and the package, the wellness products, natural skin products. It's a kind of combination of them. And also it directly provide the link to some of the most popular honeys that people can go through. And it do have blogs. It have the sweet knife, it say honey recipes, honey health, honey schools. So as I said before, if you want to have a successful online business, be prepared. Be prepared to write blogs. Yeah, so this is specifically here. So see, it takes some of the recipes here. So as I said before, not only help with marketing, but it also helps you rank higher for Google, and it attracts people to your site. Okay, so and also if you look at their shipping and return policy, so they'll be really upfront. So what they can do and what they can't do. So in this case, you can see from here that it tells you how long you're going to receive that. But also it will takes you. So for the product, if it's unopened, if it's opened, what they do with it. So as you can see from this return policy page, it's upfront. It'll tell people what they expect. I think this is something that you need to pay attention to. And also saying, well, what will happen if lost or stolen items, what they do with it. Yeah, so making sure that you have a clear and friendly return policy. Yeah, the other thing here at the end is that they can get in touch. They really have a phone number, physical address, people that be able to reach if they have trouble. And then also the accept different payments. So this one they use Shopify. But one thing also I will look into it. So if we decided to say, look, I want to purchase something on that particular, on the Smile Honey. So I'll go to their products now. Now, so you can see here, it has a ratings. It has a ratings. And it is also provide the ratings at the end as well. And also they provide different pictures, not just one. So the sides are different, but also the good for people to get a better understanding of your product. So they have, of course, they have different options. And also one good thing is if something you really want to highlight, you need something you want to highlight, you're pleased to highlight them. And then if people have more information about it, and then they can click a link to take them to the site that have detailed information, and then link to social media page. So this one, so if I make a purchase, and you tell you what people can do, they can, if they want to check out. And always one thing here for food and beverage, particularly for the cookies or cakes, and really you need to have function here or your statement here as well. I don't think Smiley Honey has it. Is that you need to let people know aware of potential dietary requirements. Say if you have potential dietary requirements, let us know, and also allow people to leave anything that they want to add. And then if we'll go to the checkout page. Okay, so when you check out the page, you want to provide options saying people who do not have an account, they can still go and pay for it. What happens a lot of time is that a lot of e-commerce store, they ask people saying, oh, I would like you to create an account. But some people saying, oh, if you would like me to create an account, I will not bother, it's too much information. And that's something you want to consider, whether you just can allow them to go ahead to purchase it, or you want them to create an account. And one thing I want to let you know is that give some incentive for people to create an account. It's saying if you'll be a friend of Smile Honey, look, we offer you 5% discount for every time you purchase. So give an incentive. As I said before, if the customer has already become a customer, you make more profit from them than acquiring new customers. So here is the Smile Honey. So now I'm going back to the slides. So these are the questions that you want to consider. So you can sell anything online nowadays, but that has some legal limitations. But the functionality required may change with the type of products that you're selling. So really thinking through what product you're selling, because they're going to affect delivery and also your package. So for example, perishable items like food, you may need a special pricings. And if you're selling fruit, and then you may change your price from now and then. And then you think through, how many products would you have online? The size of the online store and issue, the size of online issue, like compare and search, are affected by the number of products, and which also impact costs. So there's something you need to think. Do I need to put all the products online, or just a limited few? So because this is going to also impact your package, you need to consider the number of products, number of categories, how much storage space you have, and how much internet data capacities that you have. And how would you collect the payment? So most online stores will accept credit card and PayPals. And you may also need to set up an account with a bank to payment provider as well. And one thing I know some of you may thinking in the futures, you want to sell your products overseas, and you will think of, well, whether I were able to accept foreign currencies. This is something you also need to think through as well. And the last thing you want to ask is that how would you calculate your shipping costs? So as I said before, there are many options you can do. You can, during the checkout, your online store will add a shipping cost to the order. So basically, when people check it out, and you provide them with a shipping cost, and sometimes for promotions, and you can say, well, probably we just give them free shippings and absorb the cost. Now, a lot of time, this is a good practice. This is a good way of promotion, especially for those who are first-time purchase, for who purchased the first time. But you can also say that if you reach, for example, $80, we're happy to do free shipping. This is something to consider, particularly for promotions when you acquire first-time purchase. But also, it's also not unusual to calculate, the cost you added. And also, one thing you need to remember is that it really depends on which delivery companies you are using, and it may be complex with the size that you can deliver. So it's really good to get understanding of how much you're going to charge you. So Australia Post isn't, for the normal shipping methods, but they only support 20 kgs only. So there's something for you to consider. And also, if you're selling internationally, you may need multiple shipping methods based on the countries. So these are some key questions you want to consider that when you set up your e-commerce. Now, also at the end of the webinars, so the team at the Department of Primary Industry and Regional Development will send me the slides. And there's some good tips that I will provide to you, and that for your additional ratings. And the second one is the existing food and beverage businesses which are successful, and have a look and see how they operate, what I can learn from them. That's pretty much from me. And thank you very much. I hope I have another 5-star review. Thank you. Yeah, I'll pass to you now.
Thank you, Ming Ming. The first thing, we'll run our second poll, which is our feedback poll. So if people could complete that, and then we'll go into a Q&A session. Just a question from myself to kick off. We don't have any in the Q&A at the moment, but the level of investment one might need to consider when starting out establishing an e-commerce presence. What would you consider to be the kind of baseline costs when someone's starting out in this field?
It depends on how big you want for your online business. So if let's go. The initial cost, including the setup of your e-commerce stores and how much you pay per month. So for Shopify, you pay $9 every month. That's for the basic versions. But if you want to go a bit bigger, it can cost you I think it's $79 per month. That's the basic initial start cost for have e-commerce store. But also, if you want more add-on service or different design of your e-commerce store, it will add up. So it will cost you up to $1,000 to design, up to $1,000 to design your store. But if you want more more complicated, it can go up to $5,000 to design your online store. And also depends on what kind of add-on you want to put in. So that's a basic cost. But also remember one thing, that whenever you sell something on these platforms, they also charge you the payment, your credit card, the percentage, and the fixed, I think 2.6% from Shopify for credit cards. And then you need to take consideration how much they can charge you for the variable costs. And also you need to consider of your shipping costs. And because when you put up your price, you want to consider how much it's going to cost you for shipping, because it depends on where the customers are, so it can be different. So roughly, if you want to set up an e-commerce store, so probably you will prepare at least, I would say, $1,000 to $2,000 for real basic ones. But if you want to go further, then you will spend more. And also remember, you need to consider your variable cost.
Fiona Mann from Block 275 asks, how hard is it to set up a Shopify store? Could most people do it themselves, or do you need to engage a web designer?
At this stage, I think if you want to set up a basic one, I don't think you need a web designer at this stage. It's quite intuitive in many ways. And there are also many online tutorials talking about how to design Shopify e-commerce stores. So I would suggest that you just start with the basic first. And then if you see the need, then you can spend more on the design. But at this stage, I would just encourage you, just use the basic ones to start with, and there are many tutorials available for that.
In some of the previous sessions, the live sessions we've had with businesses in the past, the time commitment that's required to both set up and then manage and ensure that you have a quality online presence is quite daunting for some of our smaller businesses. Any comments on the type of time commitment and human resource that you need to be allocating to this?
Yeah, so really it depends on, like I said, what is your purpose of having an e-commerce store? A lot of people, when they have an e-commerce store, they think, I just have an online presence, right? They don't really change that much. When businesses come in, they come in. They don't really spend a lot of time on it. They don't write blogs often. So that's really someone just only want to have brand presence, on it. if you want to really make a really successful online store, then you need a dedicated. I don't think you need a full-time person to be dedicated, but at least you need someone to spend at least 1 2 hours just keep it running, and also because you need also to deal with the returns, and you also need to deal with the marketing and also deal with emails. So I would say you have someone like dedicated for 1 or 2 hours every day if you want to run a relatively medium-sized online store.
Thank you. So some questions coming in now. The first one, while doing your own delivery, would you consider this is a cost in the item price, or would you recommend to absorb this cost in order to get more customers?
Okay, so it depends on the stage of your business. So if you're doing the first times, I would say you can share the cost with the consumers and yourself to make sure you get real customers in. So once the customers are really familiar with your products, and then you're easy to keep them, and then in the long term, it actually it can make more profit. And the other thing you can do is that you make them say, well, now for the free deliveries, we only deliver on Saturdays. And if those people are, really concerned about, the delivery costs, and you can place them in, Saturday deliver, because you have more things to deliver on Saturday, so that it can help you reduce your costs. And also for safe delivery, and you just want to really make it clear in your e-commerce stores and how you're going to deliver to them. Particular time, particular date, particular food and beverage, and they're quite cautious of the delivery time.
Thank you. From a customer satisfaction point of view, which of the logistics options, home delivery, in-store pickup, and locker, would you recommend using?
We don't really have any evidence showing which one is better, and they have been all equally used widely. So there's no, I would say there's there's no evidence suggests which one will actually increase the satisfactions, like from what I know.
Okay. Doriana from Sweeter Banana asks, Square is quite straightforward and inexpensive. Is there a reason this hasn't been covered?
So which one? Sorry.
Square.
Yeah. You mean another e-commerce platform?
I believe so. Doriana, are you able to?
Just a moment, and I'll get Doriana on our line. So Doriana, I've just made it possible for you to speak to us. Can you clarify, please?
Yeah, so Square is just another online platform. It's a payment system. You can use either face-to-face or you can use it for an online shop. So it links in quite well with social media platforms and fairly straightforward. So I just wondered, if there was a reason why it hadn't been covered.
Oh, so I believe, yes. Yeah, that is also another platform that we can use. But the most popular for a lot of food and beverages, they have used that one. That's why I have picked the popular ones. But definitely Square one is the one also picking up quickly as well.
Thank you. Nicole from Parongarup Pure says, earlier in the presentation, you mentioned that the peak online shopping times were 7 to 10 p.m. and in the afternoons. Is this demographically based, i.e. do certain demographics shop in the afternoon compared to those shopping in the evening?
So thank you. That's a really good questions. Now, the thing is, you're really so when we say people doing shopping generally, they're doing in the late afternoon, right, or late evening, or in the early evening. But the thing is, it may not apply to your own business. So the thing is that you really understand what time you target audience is, is doing the shopping. So you can know that if you have an online store, and from, for example, Google Analytics, you know what time people interact with your website. And if you discover that actually a lot of people who interact with my website are in the early morning, and then you will think, oh, probably I will need to do something marketing in the early morning instead of late afternoon. So the slide I'm presenting is a general behavior of Australians doing shopping online, but it may not applicable to all the businesses. And as I said before, also King mentioned that you want to get some data on how people interact with your e-commerce store, and you know what time they like to purchase your products. So that was the information you need to actually know how they when they're going to purchase.
Thank you. Well, we've just gone past 3 o'clock, which was our scheduled finish time. So look, if I can firstly thank you, Ming Ming, for your presentation. Secondly, thanks to all the businesses for their participation. All participants will receive a follow-up email with useful links and contact details. And we look forward to hearing from you and for you joining us at our next presentation. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.